Rachel. We're going to have a little injury modification lab today. So I first want to talk a little bit about the anatomy of the knee specifically, because we're having a lot of ligamentous injuries, post-surgical people in our classes, and we want to be really careful with those because the ligaments are the structures that support the inside of the knee. You have one on the inside, one on the outside, and two that cross over in the center of the joint, and they don't contract like a muscle does. So they have no ability to protect themselves. You have to use the muscular contraction around the joint to provide stability and to prevent injury. Also, if there's been an injury, then you don't want to stretch them any further. They need time to heal in their shortened position. So the first thing that I really want to speak to is in any of the lunging series where you're on the front lunge or on back lunge, or even with the handlebar turned in on back platform lunge, you don't want the calf to be smashed into the machine, because that's going to apply a direct force forward on the tibia and backward on the femur, which is going to stress the ligaments directly. So we don't want to do that. There should be gentle pressure here, or even a small gap if the person is tall. And you want the focus to be pushing down into the floor through the heel and not pulling back into the machine. Okay, because that's, again, going to support the hamstring and the back of the knee to protect the back of the knee and keep that engaged and stable there. Then talking about knee alignment, the knee stacking, we want directly over the ankle. So that's your fore and after, your forward and backward orientation. And then your knee tracking is directly over the second toe. So not over the second toe, meaning coming forward towards the second toe, but if I drew a line down from the kneecap, it would intercept the line of the second toe. So it really is just kind of in midline of the foot. So knee stacking over the ankle, kneecap tracking over the second toe, and a gentle pressure or even a gap behind the calf muscle so that we're not shearing the tibia on the femur. Okay, let's take a look at heavy squats now. So I know we've been talking a lot lately about, instead of changing your spring load, changing your body position on the machine. So what I've seen a lot lately is this very uber wide stance. And I think people do that because they like feeling that their hip muscles are more engaged out that far. But when you're in that super wide stance, you'll see that there's no way her knee can stack over her ankle or track over her second toe. If I dropped a line here, it would come way to the inside of even the arch of her foot. So what I would tell Charlene to do is step her foot closer to the half hash mark so that she still has the resistance that she wants in this exercise, but it's almost more of like a skier stance, where her knee is now tracking directly over that second toe and stacked over the ankle. Good. Now, another thing to be mindful of when you are doing standing outer thighs or standing inner thighs, and for our purposes today we're just going to do outer thighs. What I like to tell people is to hyperextend their knee first. So really tighten up your quad and feel what it feels like to lock your knee backwards, that's hyperextension, and then just relax. And let that knee find its neutral spot. So we're not bending the knee, we're not in a squat and moving there, and we're not locking the knee back. Because when we lock the knee backwards, that's really straining the ligaments in the back of the knee. But then as soon as she starts to press against the resistance of the springs, then we're really straining the ligaments on the outside of the knee. So when we press back into our end range of motion, we're using the ligaments to stabilize the joint, not the muscles. When we find neutral, then we're using the muscles to stabilize the joints and not the ligaments. So that is the same for standing inner thighs or standing outer thighs. If somebody has a very acute or flared up MCL or LCL strain, it would be better for them to do kneeling inner thighs at the back, or just take a really small range of motion if they were doing standing outer thighs. So just decrease that range of motion and make sure it is a pain-free range of motion for them, because if they're feeling pain, they're stretching that ligament. Okay? Now, if they've recently had surgery, like an LCL surgery or an ACL surgery where they have a healing scar from their incision on the front of their knee, kneeling is not going to be comfortable for them until about probably 8 to 12 weeks. So finding ways to work around kneeling for them and just being really mindful of working through that small range of motion. Clear?